Hello, guys. For those of you that have already joined, welcome to this Data Science and Machine Learning podcast. Myself, I'll go through a brief introduction. I am the VP of Sales and Partnerships for Upgrad EMEA. An unbelievably exciting time for Upgrad at the moment. A fantastic opportunity for me to work alongside some industry leaders, unbelievable education offerings that we're providing globally. And I'm joined today by Mani Garlapati, who is the lead strategist at Google. Mani, how are you?
Hi, Tom. All good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Look, it's fantastic to have you here. You've got an unbelievable career. Personally, I'm really excited to have a chat. You have worked for a fair while alongside Upgrad, and you're going to take us through a bit of a breakdown of your career, your background, how you got into data science, but more importantly, to explain to everyone that's here today what the life of a data scientist looks like. 10, 15 years ago, it was somewhat vague and quite ambiguous. Now it is at the crux and core and heart and foundation of every organization that is successful on the planet. I'm sure you'll agree.
Rightly said, Tom. When I started my journey in data science, there was no word of analytics or big data or deep learning. It was just starting then. But now, with the advent of the technology and how at the scale at which the data is increasing, the kind of technologies that are in place, I think there is a lot of opportunities in this field. It is a wide spectrum of a lot of opportunities in different roles with different organizations. Yeah, super excited to talk to you and all of the listeners all around there.
Fantastic. Well, look, let's crack on, shall we? Can everyone see my presentation screen? Manny, can you see my presentation screen?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic.
Definitely see. And
cool.
I can see few replying yes there, so I think the viewers are also able to see. And do you want to wait for a couple of minutes to?
Yeah, we'll wait for a couple of minutes. We'll crack on in a minute. If for those of you that have joined the webinar already, welcome. If you missed the very start, we'll get into it. But as you can see, the life of a data scientist is the topic today. Data science programs that we offer from Upgrad with a number of universities, leading organizations and education institutions around the world. I will get on to towards the end. Manny's going to talk about his experiences, his background, and what data science looks like, and the value and importance in business decision making. For those of you that are here already, if you could just do me a favor, put down a little bit about yourself, just really quickly on the chat box, your name, your location, and if you're in a data science role currently or not. Okay, that'd be great. And it just gives us a bit of an opportunity to see who we've got. I know that we've got people from all over the world that are interested and had registered for this webinar. I want to make sure that we can get to you if you've got any country specific questions. There will be Q&A sessions throughout when we're going through Manny's part of the presentation as well. I will jump in and ask some questions. And if you've got anything that pops up, put them down in the Q&A box. That comes directly through to me and our tech team that we have in the background. So 36, without further ado, let's crack on. So Manny, over to you.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for all of the introduction that you have given, right? So probably I'll start with my journey into analytics and how it has been my entire 11 years experience. How did I start into this field? And probably I'll start from my education. So I did my integrated master's and bachelor's in tech in finance from BITS Pilani. So it's like all of the college grads, right out of college, thinking, okay, which field, which career, because there are multiple streams, right? Like there is a business process outsourcing roles, operation roles, there is iOS or Android development, web designing. There's a lot of a varied spectrum of profiles. So even I was like confused then. So what I did during my 5 years with BITS itself, I was like taking a lot of different kind of internships. So I was like doing an intern for a web designer, to understand how does a role or a life being in as a long-term feature in web design would look like. I spent a couple of years on iOS and Android development, but I didn't it didn't excite me that much. So I kind of then moved on in different operation profiles. It didn't excite me, but then I stumbled into a few words which were like buzzing then, like predictive modeling and analytics, and then that's when I kind of started. Okay, let me start with business intelligence, right? So that's when I started with JP Morgan Chase and as a trainee. So it was a one-year trainee program with JP Morgan where I started with a lot of business intelligence. It was more of like an analyst crunching data, working a lot of reporting automation, right? Creating different executive level reports and understanding a lot of banking domain, right? Banking is a huge industry and a lot of things happen there. But then after it was a year, and then I thought, okay, I need to explore more. I need to go deeper into predictive analytics, modeling, machine learning, and that's when I thought I need to kind of join a organization which will give me insight into a lot of various domains and give me exposure to different kind of business problems that I could solve. That's when I chose kind of one of the leading data science organization, Mu Sigma. So it is one of the best service providers for data sciences, and I was like learning a lot of new things in terms of databases, coding, scripting, different tools like R and Python, understanding statistics and predictive modeling, a lot of concepts in text mining, right? So it expanded my horizon in the 2 years that I spent with Mu Sigma in terms of how does the analytics landscape look like. What all happens in the data science stream? What are the different domains which support data science, right? So because I was part of an innovation and development division, Mu Sigma, I was fortunate to work on multiple domains. I was working on telecom, insurance, there was manufacturing, there was technology clients for which I was creating solutions, and we were developing an algorithmic product called Murex, which can assist any of the clients across these domains. So that gave me a big boost to my career. And from then I thought, okay, I got a very good base. I understood a lot of predictive models, understanding structured data. And then I thought, okay, I think probably I should learn a lot of things in terms of unstructured data. Unstructured data is again a very big piece, right? Like, because a lot of data is unstructured, like let it be like social media information, or within our organization, a lot of things is quite unstructured. Right. So I thought I should probably add on a lot more skills in unstructured. That's when I moved to TCS Innovation Labs. I started working on social media analytics, web analytics, working on a lot of NLP, created a couple of patents in natural language processing, created demo models, talked to different clients, worked on niche problems for which is very new in the TCS space, and then handed over to different service delivery teams for an ongoing execution. So I was fortunate there as well. Right. So that's how it has been from Mu Sigma to TCS. And then I started thinking, okay, what should be my next step? So every 1 or 2 years, you need to start thinking yourself, okay, what is my 5-year or 10-year vision? Where should I go? And then you should start thinking that, okay, is my current role helping to reach there? What are the next steps I need to do to ensure that eventually I'll go to the right company with the right profile, with the right kind of skills that you're kind of gaining at every role. That's when I thought, okay, the best domain to kind of go deeper would be retail, and then one of the top most companies in the retail is Walmart, right? And I was fortunate to be part of Walmart Labs, and I thought of going to retail to telecom as well for a small time, but then I thought, okay, retail is the right place, and there I got to understand the entire retail ecosystem. How big is retail? What all analytics happen? So there is like pricing, supply chain analytics, there is global sourcing. costing, human resources analytics, right? There is a ton of things that happen, and you'll be like astonished to know that there is brick and mortar and there is e-commerce. So within on e-commerce, again, there's a lot of customer analytics that happen. So this again help me to go deeper within a product organization, like how does a data scientist work within a product organization, how he collaborates with engineers, database administrators, stakeholders, understanding the business, and trying to align different algorithmic products that are created in an organization. Are they helping to shape the business, which is being managed by different pricing managers or category managers at Walmart, right? So again, here it was a lot of learning about a product organization. How do you scope strategy for analytical products, understanding different machine learning algorithms that I have learned before, and start applying and contributing, working with engineers, right? So that gave me a very big boost again. And then okay, now I had the long-term vision. Okay, next 5 to 10 years, which is that company that I should go? And not to mention, Google is one of the best in terms of the kind of analytics that can happen. Right? Like Python, everything evolved from Google. BERT, which is the top-notch natural language processing technique, it came out from Google. So there's a lot of machine learning things that you can learn, and a lot of changes in the technology that is being brought up in this space by a lot of tech giants like Google, Microsoft, Amazon. So these are like the tier 1 organizations. So I thought, okay, I need to move to a tier 1 organization. I have like now like nearly 8+ years, and that's when I started my journey with Google. And at Google, I kind of work with different teams to kind of fight abuse, fraud, and ensure that all of the Google products are safe for all of us to use. So for example, when you search for a particular query in Google search, you get a lot of results. My role is to ensure that all the results are safe for you to browse, all of the right set of results, which are spam or abuse free, or there's no phishing or any kind of no bad actors around, a lot of bad actors around there, and to keep the Google search safe for all of you. So that's how my journey has been.
I mean, that's a really diverse career, and I think personally that you're the perfect person to be able to talk on a webinar like this. For those of you that are joining this webinar, if you currently work in the data science or business analytics field, then you will know a hell of a lot about what's already been said. But it's, as you can see from what's on screen, your career has been with industry-leading organizations from banking, telecoms, retail, and tech. I mean, some of the names in there: JP Morgan Chase, Walmart Labs, and Google. Anyone on the planet will know. Move Sigma, maybe a little bit less, but maybe a little bit more tech focused, and TCS, again, a bit more tech focused. One of the things that I want to ask at this stage is, when we look at your background and your experience and your professional journey, it's all very, very quite heavily tech focused, or it's very sort of data and reporting on an extremely high level. There will be people on this webinar that don't necessarily come from a data background right now. They are going to need to upskill, but they don't necessarily want to transition into a full data science role. But we know that we can add value to whatever they're doing professionally by taking a course in data science, upskilling, and actually having implementable value. And as you can see, I mean, maybe you can attest to this, whatever industry that you work in, as I mentioned at the very start, it's absolutely crucial to have a significant grasp at a managerial level of data science and data analytics and machine learning. Machine learning is obviously quite specific for whatever organization and the specific function you might work in, but data especially, it's absolutely crucial, isn't it?
Very true, Tom. You rightly said. Like the kind of roles that are present in this data science spectrum is huge. It's like their entry-level profiles for business intelligence, reporting, ETL, data management, data engineers. They're typically called data because they work closer to the data. And then there is the next segment who kind of do exploratory analysis, descriptive analytics to kind of bring trends, insights out of the data and try to create a next set of reporting layer to the mid-level management or the executive. And then there is the next set of roles which are mostly focused towards predictive modeling, like to predict what can happen based on the past data. So this is where machine learning kind of skill helps folks to kind of grab those kind of roles, which are like mostly into understanding patterns, trends, train a model which can predict what can happen in the future, and that can help different organizations to take different strategic decisions. Whether, okay, if it is a Walmart, where, when should I open a new store? Which other set of customers should I target? What will be the weather forecast for the next year? Will there be a lot of snow? On the basis that they can probably work on their contracting details for clearing snow in front of a store. Or it could be more in terms of like how many customers will visit on a particular event day? How many staff should I kind of have it in a store? What is the kind of inventory that I should hold? Right, there's so many decisions at a store or even at an online level. Even optimizing a lot of things depends on predictive modeling, and there are a lot of roles there.
Yeah,
as well.
and do you know what, the example you've just given there about Walmart and the snow, you've got, you know, what's the weather forecast going to be like? Do we need to, you know, have contractors come and clear the snow? But also, you also mentioned the inventory. If it is going to be snowing, for example, then what inventory do we need to have to make sure that our customers are satisfied? For someone who, you know, is a constant user of retail, just like we all are, we all shop, we all need to purchase things in, you know, across industries, and we all go into a storefront. The bigger organizations are, well, everything is so calculated and everything is so, it's positioned in the way that adds to a sort of user journey or customer journey, and that all comes from data, I guess. I think one of the things that I mentioned just before I go on to the next slide is, as you can see from your career background, and it's been, you know, unbelievably varied and diverse, it doesn't matter where your skills lie in a particular sector. The field of data science, the field of machine learning, business analytics, reporting analytics, because it's implemented in every growing organization, every successful organization, if you have the skills developed, you have, you know, an award from a leading university in one of these programs, you know that has transferable skills between industry. And I think that's what the journey of a lot of data scientists is. You won't just stick to retail or just stick to telecoms. You have the skills that can be applied and the experience that can be applied across sectors. Okay, and I think you've obviously shown that really clearly with your career. Cool. So look, I'll let you take it away. When you want me to skip forward, just let me know.
Sure, you can just play this video and yeah, just play this video. So I just want to kind of share, and you can probably mute the audio. Yeah, you can mute the audio. Yeah, so I just wanted to show this wonderful you know, video which basically shows you that how much of upskill that you need to constantly do. So you can see from 1960s how the technology has been changing rapidly. You know, all the languages which you probably might know, like Python, Java, are not even present in 1960s. Every 5 years, 10 years, there's a constant change in the kind of technologies that are kind of prominently being used worldwide. Changes rapidly, and that's the very reason why you need to upskill yourself constantly in this space of data science, and all of this is happening because of a disruption. Whenever there is a disruption in terms of amount of data that you can use, there has been a disruption in terms of internet coming out, and people and emails, and then there was a disruption of social media, and then there's a disruption of IoT, then there's a disruption of big data, cloud computing. A lot of new technologies have been coming up at different intervals of time, and that has been changing the landscape of the kind of programming tools you know,
used. So you can actually see that like how different programming languages are kind of coming up. You can see 1980 is kind of coming up a bit ahead. You can actually little fast forward, Tom, so that they can see eventually how it is happening. And yeah, you can see in 2000 it's like Java, it's JavaScript, C were the most prominent languages, and in 2005 and 10 you can see that Python slowly is picking up shape. Like 2000, that is when Python was becoming popular, and you'll see that Python will move from the bottom to the topmost by the end of the year. Like it is now the most widely used programming language across all of the organizations, and that is because of all the data that is all around, and the kind of libraries for machine learning and deep learning that Python can support. That's how it is. It can happen that in future there might be a new programming tool, but whatever concepts you learn with a particular tool will help you to kind of adhere to a new technology.
And I imagine when you look back at the 70s, I mean, you can see, you look at the 70s and what was relevant and what was important then. I mean, most of it isn't even in existence now, or it's not actually being used in by the vast majority of organizations. How have you seen it develop in your career over the last 10 years? Now, obviously, you talk about Python, but is there any other observations that you can share which might help people?
Yes, so when I started as a SAS developer. So SAS is a statistical tool that was prominent like 11 years back, a little prominent, and then R was also present. There's Revolutionary R. These were few of the kind of tools which can probably would have handled a little bigger data and stuff, but then over time, like after 3-4 years, they were like a lot about big data that came out, like this data lake, data marts, data rivers, that all of the organizations were moving to, and the big data Hadoop ecosystem came into place. And that's when machine learning was parallelized, so that you could use a lot of machine learning on these big data technologies. And PySpark, there was a lot of newer technologies and libraries that data scientists had to learn, so that they could work on big data tools. And now I think it's mostly on cloud technologies, learning different APIs, machine learning clouds. How can you run models on cloud, deploy it on cloud, right? So there's an evolution. It's a constant learning that you should do as a data scientist. Every 3-4 years there's something new which comes out. Like one other example I like to give, in the natural language processing, it was started with something called word2vec, and then slowly it moved to something called BERT, and now we have BERT 2.0. There is immense amount of improvement that is happening, and so you should always, the nutshell I want to say is, you should constantly evolve yourself, keep learning and upskilling.
Fantastic. No, this is fantastic advice. Guys, I'm just going to stop sharing really quickly and then reshare. Bear with me 2 moments.
Sure. And probably I'll say one other note on upgrad, right? Like, upgrad has been foundational for upskilling a lot of folks in this space, right? Because how constantly technology is evolving, you need to keep yourself upgraded with all of the new tech. And I think upgrad has been playing a fundamental role in this space as one of the prominent edtech firm to keep the learners improving and upskilling in this space.
Fantastic. Just bear with me a sec, guys. I'm just going to represent. Sorry, that the video knocked me a little bit out of kilter there.
Yes, you're back.
I'm back. There we go. So on to the next slide.
Great. So this is more in terms of the kind of research that is happening in this space, and how the entire ecosystem, like college grads or undergrads, different university faculty, and different PSU sector kind of all come together, and there are a lot of different analytical players who kind of create a bridge between, the graduate undergrad folks. And I'll talk about the analytics and different analytics players in the next slide, but they're kind of the medium in between to kind of create that innovation using artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and create that bridge so that a lot of innovation is being brought to across different domains. And that's why I rightly said, like, people, domain, technology, all the ML, data science, all of the kind of come together to bring about innovation in every domain. I can probably give you another example. So there is a glass manufacturing organization, and because of the industry 4.0, now they're going digitized. So they're kind of digitizing the entire organization. It's a prominent, topmost leading glass manufacturing company, and now they're creating like a ton of data every day. It's right from the different IoT sensors that they have in their manufacturing equipments to see predictive maintenance of their equipment, or kind of understand how is the market. So now they're doing a lot of real-time analytics to kind of shape their organization, right? So a lot of new opportunities. And a little bit understanding about, you might be hearing about deep learning, machine learning, AI, but what are these? So probably I'll share a small snippet. So there is something called as a foundational data science, which is more about data, exploring data, trends, insights, reporting, automation, ETL. So that is all the foundational data science. But you will be able to bring out innovation or insights from this data with the help of about techniques like deep learning. Deep learning is kind of a layered network which you can train it with the help of some data, and that network can help you to predict something else. And machine learning is basically is a superset, and there are a lot of other algorithms. I can talk about different regression classification techniques. I don't want to kind of take out the algorithm names in detail, but there are a lot of supervised machine learning algorithms which help do the same thing like how deep learning works, but it gives more understanding of different signals which can help the organization. And there is artificial intelligence, which is much more superset, which is more like building a robot which can talk to you in real time. One good example is IBM Watson, or Google. We have a Google Assistant. There is Apple Siri, which are, I would say, they are like in the topmost layer right now, and they're trying to improve it, add more functionality, make it more human. Because if you ask a question to a Google Assistant, it might not answer all the questions, right? Because it has been trained only to a certain extent. So
yeah,
a day can come when it can understand any of your question, answer any of your emotions. And I think every organization is trying to build an AI data center within them. So it requires a lot more research, and then only probably we can say that, okay, we are there.
That's fantastic. I mean, just from what you've said so far, we've got a couple of questions that have come in that have come from people with non-tech backgrounds, trying to understand how they can transition into this field of data science and machine learning if they haven't necessarily already, or if they're not necessarily already in it and they're not qualified in it as yet. For example, we have loads of engineers, and there's one that's asked a question on the webinar already. How can someone transition into the industry? What's the process of getting involved? Now, obviously, Upgrad can certainly help do that, and that's part of why we're running this webinar, to show or provide the awareness of what we do in terms of helping people upskill. But in your experience, like, what's the transition for people? How easy is it?
Yeah, so I would say even I myself was from a non-tech background. Like I was not a core technical background, right? Like computer science or information systems. But then I'm doing very well in this field. So one thing is that data science is not just programming. Programming is a small bit, and it doesn't require hardcore programming like engineer or a developer would need to do. It's more about understanding a few set of machine learning libraries or data science libraries that is sufficient for you to kind of get through or become a data scientist in this space. More than the programming bit or being technical, it's more about understanding statistics. If you have core interest on numbers, working with maths and stats and sampling things, that is another one major piece. And another very important thing is domain. So you should know a lot about your domain or the domain in which you're going to work of the organization. Without you having a good knowledge of a particular industry where you are working on, even if you are a top-notch data scientist, even or a top-notch programmer, you will not be able to help the client succeed eventually. So whatever insights you're basically creating from your machine learning model or predictive analytics, you need to eventually able to tie them back to the business problem that you're trying to solve, and then give clear directions and prescriptions to your client, saying that, hey, you need to do the XYZ so that you can have a X% increase in sales, or you need to do this so that you can reduce your losses, or you need to do this. So you're basically helping create strategy for the organization as to what they need to do next. And all this is not that you need to be technical, right? So even if you're from non-tech background, be assured that you can do wonders in this field. I can give little more examples. I know a doctor from the healthcare who has turned into a data scientist who's working in Google. I know a musician who has turned into a data scientist working in Google. So I can say a lot of scenarios. I personally kind of mentored a lot of other non-tech people who have doing very well in this field. And few pointers for people who are doing, want to shift their career from non-tech to data science. One most important thing is, take a particular program which can give you a lot of this information. Either you join an organization which is starting in data science, or you take up a degree program like how Upgrad and a lot of the other tech firms try to enroll, do very well in that, and you upskill yourself, understand all of the things and concepts, and keep learning. And eventually these two are the broad ways of how you can get into data science.
That's amazing. I think that gives provides a lot of faith and a lot of opportunity for people who are relatively new to the field, understand the value. I mean, just talking from my personal experience, I'm not a data scientist by my background. I am a sales strategy and growth strategist, and I'd say 85% of my job is understanding data. I would certainly benefit from a wider understanding and a deeper understanding of data analytics. But in almost every facet of what I do in my job and in my entire career, data has become more and more important. So for me to transition into it, I think it's something that I can see the light, and I understand the significant value. Every business decision that I make in leadership at Upgrad is based on a deep understanding of specific data sets. And that is, as you said, that's how you develop strategy. But coming from a non-data background, it sounds like it's unbelievably straightforward to transition. You don't need that specifically, that tech background. But as you said, just to hone in on that, have a deep understanding of your market. Yeah, and it all links back to providing what you said was quite interesting, a prescription to solve a problem or make a decision in how to present or develop a strategy of a business moving forward. Am I good to move forward on my slide?
Yes, please.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So this basically I want to kind of share the three different sectors. One is the pure play vendors who basically have data science as a core servicing, and you have BPO and KPO service providers who basically provide a lot of technological services to different organizations, but then they started with data science because of the demand for data science. So what they do, they basically pitch for data science opportunities for their existing technological clients and try to do a cross-selling for data science opportunities. And there is a third segment, which is the captive centers. So organizations slowly even realize that having an in-house data science teams would help benefit their organizations. They're slowly cutting down outsourcing data science or analytical capabilities to different pure play or BPO KPO service providers and trying to build data science centers within in-house. And examples, I have already added few Indian companies here, but these are global organizations as well, where you have a lot of opportunities in the service spectrum, where pure play vendors and BPO KPO service providers are present. And then you have product organizations like these captive centers, where you work on creating algorithmic products within the organization. You can skip this slide. Tom, to the next slide, I can
Well, I
talk.
was just going to say, just on that point, just from my experience, I'm based in London in the UK, and just doing a review or a deep diving into the demand for data science jobs. I will talk about this towards the end, but just in the UK alone, the demand has tripled over the last 2 years. And that's exactly following in line with what you've said. All these major organizations have stopped outsourcing, and they understand the real value to have in-house data scientists, data engineers, who are ensuring that it's a very streamlined flow of data processing, data management, because they're well aligned with the company's mission at the end of the day. But you look at the Middle East, you look at Africa, you look at the US, the UK, the whole of Europe. I mean, the market is absolutely wide open in terms of jobs. And it's exactly just backing up what you've said there, which is great news for those people looking to transition and saying, well, look, if I, in other industries with other skill sets, I can, obtain a degree, but I'm just in line with everyone else to try and, get myself into the job market or go into mid or senior management. But how is this different? Well, it provides an unbelievably in-demand skill set, which is finely tuned and finely and honed in on exactly what the global market needs.
Right. So, and I just want to kind of focus on how does a data scientist work in a product organization versus a service-based organization? How does his work role kind of differentiate in both of these spectrums? Like with a product organization, he does a lot more things in terms of he shapes of the product roadmap, he identifies which features need to be prioritized, obtains a lot of requirements. What are the analytical requirements that are required to create that feature? You kind of start creating analytics proof of concept, saying, okay, this approach is actually working in helping solve a particular requirement. And then you get a business alignment, and there'll be UX or UI designers who will create prototypes of how the product eventually should look like. Is it user friendly enough for the end clients like pricing managers or category managers? And then there'll be another set of database developers who kind of create database modeling. There'll be middleware and UI engineers who will start with the development of that. The data scientist starts working on algorithm scaling, production, deployment, understanding whether the algorithm is performing well or not. And then the data scientist, engineer, UI developer all come together with an integration into the backend. And that's when the product eventually turns from a development to a production. So that's how analytical an algorithmic product gets deployed in a product organization.
Fantastic. We just have a quick question here, and I'm not sure if it's going to be covered in your slides specifically. We can hold this until the end in the Q&A session, but it's from Ashwini, who is a data analyst at the moment, but just has an understanding or needs to get an understanding of what skills should they improve and how do they transition to go from data analyst into AI roles.
Got it. So you are already in the data science spectrum. That's well and good. But now the kind of skills that you have versus where you want to go into the roles of deep learning or artificial intelligence, there's a lot of skill gap that right now you have. The skills that you will need to develop in terms of like deep learning techniques, like there's convolution neural networks for computer vision, there is recurrent neural networks for natural language processing. There's a lot of different advanced techniques that will be required for you to kind of step up there. So
let's say, for example, someone has used a deep learning model, let's say computer vision. What skills then should they be improving and should they be focusing on?
So they should focus on practical implementations as well. Like, okay, you understood these concepts, but then in practical, how do you kind of deploy? How do you code? You can probably take some challenges online and then work on different data and then try implementing those and then see whether are those practically helping to solve a problem in a way or not. And I think most of the people fail solving data science interviews because just not theory, but you should have practical implementation and skills that you need to learn. And you need to choose a forum or a medium which will help you to get those practical skills for you so that you'll be able to crack different data science interviews.
Fantastic. Ashwini, I hope that answers your question. Do reach out if you've got any more. Guys, just a little point here. Get your questions down. We'll try and address them as we go through. There will be question and answer sessions for Mani towards the end of his presentation, but also at the end when I go through a couple of bits for 10 minutes as well.
Right. So this slide is more for service-based organizations, right? So how does the data scientist work in a service-based organization? So in service-based organization, he basically gets the requirements, the data scientist, and then he kind of creates works on data preparation, creates variable selection, performing data quality check, creating the model development, testing, validation, and deployment. So the end-to-end of the data development is done by data scientists, and as well he actually plays another role of creating a UI and then deploying it in the UI. It can be like a small dashboard for creating predictive insights to the client, right? Or it can be that the data scientist can hand over the model to the client and the client will use it. So here there might not be a lot of interaction between engineers, UI developers, but the kind of interaction that they have with the stakeholders will be a lot more when compared to working in a product-based company. So if you're starting your journey, I would strongly recommend to start with a service-based organization, because it will expand your horizon to understand different domains. You'll able to identify and solve a lot more problems. So the one problem you probably spend like 2-3 months, and after 3 months you kind of work on a different problem with a different algorithm, different technique. But in a product organization, it will be like a 1 year or 2 year roadmap for a data scientist in a project. So you'll be solving one complex problem, a very big problem, for a longer time. In a service-based industry, you'll work on chunks of problem, a varied set of problems, and learn on different techniques and implement over time.
So work in a product-based service company, work in a product-based company, work in a service-based company. Guys, if you've got any questions about either of these, then please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yes. Cool. So so this is one case study that I wanted to share with the viewers in terms of from the data, how you can kind of get information and eventually help create those strategies, right? So this particular use case basically to kind of how does a store layout gets created. So it's not that when you visit a store, you see, okay, bakeries at one corner, then different kind of financial services or cosmetics or household related items are placed at different location. It's all based on a strategy and a plan, which is all powered by data scientists. So what usually happens is, if we want to minimize the number of customers moving from one corner to other corner. So what we basically do is we kind of identify customer interactions and then kind of create adjacency of different services within a store layout. So it all depends on what is the affinity between different items, identifying, okay, if a person buys milk, what is the next set of things he buys, butter, jam, and then those kind of products are kind of mapped closer. And all of this is done with a lot of graph-based techniques, understanding affinities between different items, understanding customer purchase patterns, customer interests in a particular location. And these store layouts are actually performed at a different regions and geographical level, because customer purchase patterns can vary across regions, and a ton of analytics goes through whenever you want to do a store planning. And I just thought of sharing a quick visualization of how the data is being transformed to create those insights for the store planning managers.
I think something that you've mentioned here in terms of store planning and store layout is actually really important for me, because I notice if I go into a major shopping center or I go into a major store that has escalators and lifts in there, I can't get off one escalator and get straight onto the next one to go to the next floor. I have to walk through the store, and all of this is based on what products can we get customers to walk past, how can we engage with them a little bit further, and how can we develop a more complete store journey for that customer. And again, when you look at, as the example says here, you look at a supermarket, for example, or a food store, grocery store, you go from bakery to milk and teas and coffees and then crisps and snacks, but in between you're actually taking on a journey past cereals, past food and beverage as well, and it's an interesting process, but I imagine that's all unbelievably well thought out.
Yes, rightly said, Tom. So everything, whatever you see in a store, there'll be certain products that you can see in the front facing, It's all a strategy and a plan which is powered by data insights. To understand, okay, what are the top selling items and where they need to be placed. So everything is powered by data science and insights.
Yeah, fantastic. No, this is it's more and more fascinating the more I hear from this, or the more I hear from you about this.
Right. So this is another use case now from in a tech space. How does you identify certain articles which are clickbaity? Clickbaity means they kind of create articles so that intentionally they want to attract a lot more traffic and clicks into a particular article, right? So it can be malicious sometimes, or it might not be. So I'll not spend a lot of time, but this is like a brief analytical framework. How are different features and different natural language processing features are eventually brought together. Different kind of text classifiers are eventually used to kind of create that end-to-end model. Yeah, let's skip this slide. I don't want to kind of confuse our audience with a lot of jargons.
Yeah, fair enough, guys. Great opportunity to get some Q&A in. Any questions for Manny or myself? I think Manny probably is the more relevant party here at this point, but any questions, get them down. And we'll pause there for 20-30 seconds just while people type some in. Manny, any advice for people that are they want a career in data science or machine learning? How do you go about, with the exception of coming to Upgrad, how do you go about learning? How do you go about finding out what your opportunities are in the industry?
Right. Very rightly said, Tom. Like, not one thing I would like to say is knowledge is free, right? The knowledge is available everywhere, but just that it is not in a particular format. It's not in a particular structure. What Upgrad brings is that structure to the knowledge and creates that roadmap for you as to how you need to learn. Now, if you want to self-learn, I can say some tips, like in terms of how you can do it, make your transition to data science. One is like, I attend a lot of different webinars, have webinars in data science, data analytics, participate in them, understand how different industries are kind of trending. Second, try to solve certain challenges and problems. There are a lot of data science communities for crowdsourced communities like Kaggle, Analytics Vidya. There is a lot of these communities which are coming up, and you try to participate in them, understand, and then implement different algorithms and try solving those problems. Third would be kind of trying to identify different mentors in this field and try to work closely with them and try to understand what is the skill you have, what is that you're lacking, and how do you improve those skills, so that slowly you bridge that gap and then move to the desired role, right? So probably these would be the top 3 ways of how you can slowly transition into data science.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Guys, instead of dropping them in the chat, drop your questions in the Q&A box. I'm going to carry on with a couple of little bits about Upgrad and about our offering, and also a little bit to provide some context on what we do differently, why, and the added value that we can hope to bring, or we have proved to bring to thousands of students. The focus of this bit, a little bit about data science and machine learning as an industry overview, and we'll take some anecdotal feedback from you, Manny, on that as well. A couple of features about what we offer in terms of our course offering, and then a Q&A. But in between, there'll be a couple of extra bits I'll expand on. Just some global facts and figures for everyone here. If you don't know, and this is, I think, aimed predominantly at those that aren't necessarily in the data science field at the moment, but it just shows, if you have a look at the points on this slide here, it shows the size of the demand on a global scale for data science jobs. Global machine learning market size projected to reach $152 billion by 2028. Now that just shows a significant advance in technology. If you look at, or if you position this 15-20 years ago, Manny, could you have expected that this is the market size that we're expecting in the next 5 or 6 years?
Very true. The kind of rate at which the data is expanding is enormous, and as the data increases, the roles for data science and data analytics eventually explode, right? That is what is happening, and that's the reason why the demand for data science is kind of growing. And what is kind of fueling all of this is also the industry revolution. Different manufacturing hubs, automobile sector, or if you say government sector, or even if you kind of do like different industries in different fields, everyone is kind of digitizing their data, adding and fueling to the increase in this data. And whenever data increases, automatically the roles for analysts, data scientists, machine learning engineer, know all of different technologies eventually will boost up. And that's the reason there is this projected growth. And yeah, would have never imagined that like 15 years back that there would have been this much demand in this field.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. If you consider then beyond 15 years, you consider going to the early mid 90s when data science was just becoming more prominent in business development and business strategy and organizational growth. It's alarming to see the development that has actually occurred, but it's only to be expected. And if you can see here, the Gulf states have nearly 10,000 data science and analytics jobs opening up per month in the Middle East. Now, the reason I mentioned that, we have a number of people from the Middle East that take our programs. We have a number that are on this webinar as well, but it just shows across the EMEA region, especially, the demand is absolutely huge. You look at the US and Canada, well, the US especially, absolutely huge. And then the APAC region is following in line with the rest of the world. Just a quick point for any UK and Europeans out there that will see this or are on this webinar. And I mentioned it earlier, the UK has seen the demand for data science professionals triple in the last 2 years alone. Okay, so it's incredible. And you see a predicted 3 million plus open data science and data analysis related jobs globally by the end of this year. That's 3 million plus across the world. So wherever you are, whatever industry you work in, there is the opportunity to build and develop a successful career in data science, machine learning, and analytics. Manny, I think you might be able to expand a little bit on a couple of these, but key machine learning algorithms. We all understand face recognition. For those of you who have an iPhone, you use it probably on a daily basis. Driverless cars that are going to be the next progression in technology developments in the automotive industry, voice recognition, GPS, neural networks. Can you expand a little bit on neural networks? Because for someone like myself, who's not as familiar, there are going to be a few other people on the webinar as well that might need a little bit of an explanation on that one.
Definitely. So in this neural network is, like I said, is part of deep learning, and there are a lot of different applications for this. Like computer vision, face recognition is again powered by neural networks. Natural language processing, understanding text, like whenever you type something on a doc, you have the next word as a suggestion for you, right? So all that is again powered by different neural networks engines which run in the backend, trying to understand what is the context that you are talking and then suggesting the next word. Chatbots. So you go to a portal, there'll be a lot of chatbots. You talk to them, they understand your query, try to address with the right answer. So all these are kind of powered by different neural network engines, and it's the widely used technology right now.
I think just from what you've explained there, I think it's become really clear for those that aren't necessarily involved in the industry yet. It's just made very obvious to me how often we interact with machine learning algorithms on a daily basis. Chatbots, every website I go onto, almost every website that has a consumer offering has a chatbot. Some of them are great, some of them not so great, but all of them get better over time. I'm yet to buy myself a driverless car, but that is the next goal that I've got in my mind. So I'm an avid machine learning application fan. And I think just to highlight again, this actually ties in nicely to your background. The key industries for data science and machine learning, the opportunities and possibilities are endless. If you have a small family-run cafe, you're going to analyze data, maybe not on such a deep level as a major organization like Walmart or Google, but everything that you do should be realistically tied to a data-led decision, including, sourcing milk for coffees or teas. That's a British thing, maybe not so much in India, but banking and finance, you have experience in communication, media and entertainment, HR. We have a huge number of we have a huge industry globally focused on HR management, and it's become so much more a crucial component in the post-COVID era, and especially heightened over the last 20 plus months, that understanding the applications within industries like HR may have somewhat been discounted by those looking to get into the industry or transition into a full data science role. It's not all coding. It's not all, sort of deep data dives. Just to highlight the shortage of skilled DS and ML professionals. 15 years ago, those that were in organizations that had to adapt to machine learning, more importantly, I think data science, may not have the practical implementable skills. It's been learned on the job, or as you've said, a lot of data science applications was outsourced. Now it's coming back in-house. Companies require their workforce to have the same skills as those outsourced data management companies. Now, for me, that's a huge opportunity for someone to upskill themselves, have a degree or a master's program, whatever it may be, even from an advanced all the way up to master's programs that we offer, to show that you can actually implement what is needed. We will go into an unbelievable sort of breakdown in how you do that and how we get you to that stage in terms of practical implementation. But it's absolutely crucial, as you can see, that there's a massive need for companies to actually have the right skills for their current workers. So I would say 80% of our students that take the data science courses need to upskill in order to move onto a different level of management, or they're looking for a career transition. When I say career transition, that's not necessarily between industries and out of their company. It's in a completely different role in their organization. Every senior manager understands the value of data-led business decisions. And it all starts with having a workforce that is skilled in data analysis, data science. Would you agree with that?
Very true, Tom. Definitely, and there are endless opportunities in this space. I'll probably tell few not known facts. Like if you're a sports geek, there's a ton of analytics that happen there. Cricket, football, or even Olympics or World Cup. There's so much of analytics that happen to understand player strategy, which player should be chosen, where he should be there. So much happen with the help of computer vision. Real time insights are given to different mentors to kind of guide the team to win. So there's a lot of winning strategy that is being there in sports. And there is beverage analytics. So if you have been to a liquor shop, it can happen to understand, okay, which liquor is kind of being sold high, and what promotions often should run in real time, understanding the dynamics of the current, and a lot of analytics is being used even there.
Yeah, and I think just you mentioned sport there. What's interesting to me, some of you on this webinar may have seen a movie called Moneyball. If you haven't, you don't need to be in. It's about baseball. It's about the Oakland A's in the 2002 season. It's got Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. You don't have to have an interest at all in baseball. I don't, but I was absolutely fascinated. It was the first introduction of data-led decisions in a major sporting franchise that took the Oakland A's from dead last in the season and just renowned for being a pretty poor team, all the way through to competing for that Major League World Championship. So since then, especially in US sports, a huge amount of data has been used to pick the right configurations of starting players. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely fascinating. One thing that I want to highlight, and as you've explained, and as I've touched on, far more intelligent and informed decision making is required in today's businesses. It's something that's a theme throughout this webinar. But there's a huge demand for these intelligent machines that can learn from human behavior, like Siri, like predictive texting. Now, you mentioned Google. You work at Google. You mentioned predictive texting, but every time I go on Gmail, which is, I'm sure many of us on this webinar use, it is finishing my sentences for me. It scares me a little bit, but it's an unbelievably interesting introduction that we have on a consumer level. That's let alone what's implemented in the background on a tech level, which is well ingrained into all of these growing organizations. I mean, you can attest to that coming from Google yourself. And then again, just to highlight the need to leverage data to inform strategic and operational decisions. is ever increasing in every single industry. And I cannot stress that enough. Whatever it is that you currently do, there is a data role within your industry that is probably right for you. You just need to make sure you're skilled in the right way. You have the practical and commercial implementable value that you can add. And as Manny said, you understand what the problem is and you can actually prescribe solutions. A little bit more about Upgrad for those of you who don't know. This is where we sort of take a slight transition. We are voted India's #1 startup as per LinkedIn. One of the best education, best education brand in the Economic Times. Essentially, we're an online ed tech company. Now, for those studying through Upgrad or looking to study online, the concept of an ed tech may not mean that much to you, but it means a hell of a lot to us at Upgrad, because essentially we've made huge inroads in how we deliver, design and implement online education. Now, we have a core mission, which is to democratize education and make it accessible, affordable and relevant for all. Wherever you are in the world, whatever size, shape, color, creed, it doesn't matter. You should have access to good education, relevant education, that is going to add significant value personally and professionally. Now, that should be a right that everyone is afforded. One thing that Upgrad has really gone on to do is we collaborate with leading education institutions, so universities around the world, and we deliver their content online. Okay, we have students from 85, 90 plus countries in any of our given intakes. But one of the things that I think we've really done as an organization is we've revolutionized the delivery and teaching to solve problems in what is a really quite archaic higher education system. Now, the way we've sort of structured it kind of plays into the hands of what needed to be changed. As I said, the education system globally is run in a very archaic way. Usually, if you study online or in person, you'll go through very sort of theory heavy courses. Now, it's not necessarily as relevant for data science, but in general, you come out with a degree and it looks great on paper. But if you can't implement things in the flesh for commercial value, that certificate isn't usually worth the paper it's written on. Now, there's a lot of textbook theory, there's a lot of tech theory, but unless you're being taught how to implement it in ways that are relevant to your industry, your business, we have a lot of issues with managers, senior managers and execs expecting to hire people that look great on paper, but then they can't implement what they're supposed to do. Have you experienced that, Manny?
Very much. I have seen a lot of cases where managers have been laid off, right? Because they are not able to kind of bridge up with or upskill themselves over time, are able to create that technology landscape for an organization. So that's why you can see now a lot of young leaders kind of coming up because they are kind of having the right set of technologies and have that mindset in place so that they are able to groom well the bottom analysts well, and as well as kind of shape up the organization strategy in a much better level. And not to mention about freshers from different universities. Now the freshers from the university are kind of upskilled more than like people who are like 5 years back, because within their course curriculum within the universities as well has been changing a lot. That we're getting introduced to different data science concepts right at the university or the graduation level, that they're kind of moving up in space much better.
Fantastic. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing to kind of bridge the gap. The way we counter those issues as Upgrad, as an educator and as an organization, we offer the most modern and forward-thinking delivery that students, well, with students in mind, essentially. What we want to do is bridge the gap between education and industry and actually help you contextualize what you've learned so you can put it into practice. The first thing is creating the right balance between flexibility and real practical value, which is again, this is all from data-led data-led decisions. Most online courses are delivered in one of two ways. Okay, neither of these are particularly effective. The first one is purely self-taught. Okay, so there's a lot of courses out there that teach data science, teach coding, teach machine learning. Okay, but you're essentially teaching yourself from presentations and slideshows. You've got no real interaction with anyone. You don't have people like Manny being able to talk to you. You don't have industry experts. You don't have professors. We'll create the content off you go, and we'll see you in 6, 12, 24 months with a certificate. Now, it adds a little bit of value in terms of you've got some content, but if no one's there to provide feedback, some contextualized information, it's just you're trying to figure everything out yourself. And that's not the way, we know that's not the way most people study. These courses have extremely high dropout rates because, as I said, there's no real context or information or anyone to bounce ideas around with or gain feedback from. The second one, which is the opposite, those online courses that pre-COVID, they were delivered face-to-face. And since then, they've been forced to transition online. Now, if I'd walked into any university on the planet and said, your data science courses, how long to get 90% of them online, they would have said 2 years. And if I turned around and said, well, you've got 6 months because this is what's going to happen in the next 6 months with COVID, they would have laughed me out the room. Well, the vast majority of these institutions have then been forced to rush to get all of this information online. And they go, here's all the info, off you go, that first option. Or they have the same delivery model, but just online. So it's face-to-face online with almost no flexibility. All the classes are live, and that's how you access most, if not all, of your information. So again, not flexible. If you have a full-time job, career, work, family life balance that you want to navigate and manage as well, that's really, really hard to actually get to grips with and study and earn. And, you know, you have to for most people, put their career on hold for up to 2 years for a master's program, for example. They've got similar dropout rates. Our offering lands right in between the two, okay? Now, this is a mix of asynchronous and synchronous learning. Now, for those of you that don't understand that, that means pre-recorded and self-taught, self-paced, and then live lectures and live study groups and interactive sessions with industry mentors, professors, peers as well. But what we have is, well, we've done this to allow each student to study any time of day or night, wherever you are in the world, okay, during the week. And then on the weekends, you're going to have a couple of hours here and there. If you can't make them, that's fine. They will be recorded and provided to you. But a couple of hours on the weekend where you get to interact with your professors, ask questions, interact and be taught by industry mentors. Now, by industry mentors, I mean people of Mani's background and experience who have a significant and successful career across the data science and machine learning fields. They're there to actually provide anecdotal feedback, data and information, and again, help you contextualize what you've learned during the week so you can understand how to put it into practice in the real world. That is a gap that isn't bridged by many people. But what we do at Upgrad is we've specifically designed the delivery model and the Upgrad extras, essentially, and the Upgrad advantage to provide a huge amount of support and effectively make sure that you come out of a data science program with the practical, implementable, commercially valuable skills. Okay, if anyone's got any questions on what we do at Upgrad and how, please drop them into the questions box and I will get to them. But I'm sure that sounds fairly straightforward. Mani, can you see how that adds value from a student's perspective?
I can strongly tell one very good distinction that Upgrad brings, right? So there is a lot of content available, right? But what Upgrad brings is that industry relevancy, bringing that industry support and mentorship and guidance to all of the students. I think that is a very big distinction that can bring, because it's not just knowledge and concepts that you would require. You also need to know a lot of technical implementation, industry relevant use cases, how the knowledge and concepts of machine that you've learned are actually applied in industry, how to get those practical implementing of different data and problems. So that's the quite distinction that Upgrad kind of brings up to it, that I can strongly vouch for.
Absolutely. And one of the things, I mean, if you look at your roles that you've had, if you'd have taken 5 or 10 data scientists that had just come out fresh out of university, just with the theory and concept heavy background, put them in a job in the real world and said, figure the problems out, and they've got no one there to actually guide them, provide that sort of guidance and support that everyone needs. How will they compete? They won't. They won't get to the root cause of issues. They won't be able to provide those prescriptions, as you've mentioned, to solve business challenges and make the right business decisions. And that essentially is what we're solving. We want to make sure that any role that you would graduate into coming out of Upgrad, you can hit the ground running. And that is, it's not just the way we do the delivery model, the way we've designed that. There are small group coaching sessions. I'll get onto that in a couple of minutes. That add a huge amount of value. You've got one-to-one feedback sessions. You've got live sessions on a week. And as I said, all of this is designed with the student in mind. Just to go to what we actually offer in terms of our data science programs. As you can see here, we have listed Liverpool John Moores University, top UK university, the University of Arizona, both offering masters in data science, and a data science for managers from IIM Kozhikode. For those of you not from India, that is one of the top institutes of management, dealing with a lot of technical programs, but an unbelievably well-known institution in India. Mani, where you have worked alongside people or had people work under you, do you see the value in coming from a top university with a practical course? Or is it more just give me the practical skills and I'll figure it out? What's the value that you see the institutions adding?
Right. So it's all also about branding yourself with a particular university that you're associated with, right? So that is the first check at a recruiter level. Whenever they want to see, they basically want to ensure that you get a set of people from a set of branded universities. There are again different tiers in different education universities, and it's very essential that you get that branding of that knowledge associated to it. That is one. Second is that you get a lot of good university professors. So getting to understand our different machine learning concepts is very, very important. It creates the foundation for a data scientist. Now, if you don't have the right person teaching you those concepts, you will not be able to have a strong foundation. And that's why having right set of faculty teaching you these concepts from well-known universities, we essentially set a pace for you to get started your journey in data science.
And as you can see from here, I mean, thank you very much for that. As you can see from here, there's very little prior coding experience required. For these programs, you do need to submit a test. You need to have an understanding of the market, but it's especially for the master's programs. But just talking about the masters in data science from Liverpool John Moores University, that's actually broken down into 3 separate qualifications that all add up to a full master's. So for the first 2 qualifications, which is an advanced cert and an EPGP, which is an executive postgrad certificate, you don't necessarily need quite as much experience. You gain that experience and you gain that knowledge and the technical ability as you go through these courses, and then you qualify for the masters. But 100% aligned with you. In any industry, the profile of the university and the brand of the university really, really helps. In data science, it's pretty crucial. Having the skills is fantastic. Having the added bonus of having a certificate that's internationally recognized, an award internationally recognized from, let's say, the University of Arizona, LJMU, or IIM Kozhikode, is an unbelievable stepping stone and springboard to help transition your career or launch a career in the industry. I'll just skip on to the next one, which is machine learning programs. Again, Masters of Science in Machine Learning from LJMU, Liverpool John Moores University, an EPGP program in Machine Learning from IIT Bangalore, and again, Advanced Cert in Machine Learning and Cloud from IIT Madras. Mani, in your experience, the Indian universities we have involved here, unbelievably well known and add a lot of value brand-wise as well.
A lot. This is like IIM is one of the top-notch universities in India, and there is a lot of faculty, who's very strong in machine learning that are part of the university and can give a lot of foundations for different data scientists in this field. So yeah, it has a lot of value, and they are like globally recognized and not just within India, and much recommended for any aspiring data scientists.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things, Liverpool John Moores University is a British education institution, has a fantastic reputation, but the overall British education sector has a great reputation, and a lot of people know about it, respect it. For those of you on the webinar, for those that see this as a recording maybe, that may not have considered the Indian universities that we have as our partners here, my advice is do some deep diving, do your due diligence, because as you can see here, IIT Madras is ranked first in India. The program at IIT Bangalore, again, unbelievably highly ranked. It's not just about where the course is based and what country the education comes from. It's about the skills you're going to learn tied in with the brand. And I think across the data science and machine learning programs here, we've got an unbelievable array. So whether you're from Nigeria, South Africa, or Egypt, Germany, Spain, or the UK, or you're from one of the Gulf countries, or you're from anywhere in the APAC region, North America, South America, it does not matter. Any of the institutions we have here and these courses are going to offer a significant amount of value. For people hiring, and this is a question for you, Manny, for people hiring in data science, you look at the university brand. Now, for someone who's hiring who isn't Indian, for example, who may not have that understanding of those, is it still going to be the same brand value?
Very much, right? So it's all about the university that you're associated with, whether you've done a full-time or an online program, still you are associated with that brand, and a certificate that you'll be receiving is equally valid and equally helpful. And you need to kind of show that in your profile, that whenever you're building a data science resume, so that these kind of gets highlighted, and all of your machine learning skills and all of your technical skills and all different projects in data science, everything gets highlighted in your profile. That kind of tremendously improves the chances for the next steps of interviews. And then it's all about you and how you market yourself and display your data science skills in the interview.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. If we do have any data scientists or anyone who studied a data science course on this webinar live, just chuck in the chat box where you attended or what degree you got. It'd be really good to find out a little bit more information about you guys. A couple of just images of the certificates in case you wanted to see. Not massively important for the webinar, but it just gives you an idea about what you are going to be able to hang on your wall, present to your mother, father, brother, sister, in terms of my, this is my success, and these are the certificates I've got, bragging rights, essentially. Our program features, this is just moving on. And again, it's just coming back to what we actually do in terms of thinking about the student first. We've got a world-class faculty and a lot of global industry experts, those that, like Manny, have a huge amount of experience in industry. They are all really, really highly involved to a great extent in the actual delivery of the content of the course. As I said, it's not just about the theoretic and academic or technical concepts. It's also about how you contextualize that to put it into real practical value. We've spoken about the curriculum, small group coaching sessions. I'll touch on this a little bit with international experts, people like yourself, Manny. We want to capture people in small, essentially small group sessions. If, for example, we have 150 people on the master's program for LJMU, for example, there are going to be a number of people that work in telecoms, number that work in tech, number that work in retail. Well, it makes sense for us to put a lot of those in the same small group sessions. Now, the reason for that is we can then tailor and make a bespoke session focused on a specific industry. Or it may be that certain modules and certain subjects require a regional focus. Well, if that's the case and your career is aligned in a particular region, let's say you're from the Central Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa, and we've got 8 to 10 students from the same area, well, there's going to be elements that we can group you together because it's going to be specifically relevant for the area and the geographies that you're in. Because of this, you're not just coupled together with everyone, okay? You're learning from people in your region, in your industry. That ties me on to the next thing, which I think is really important. Most people that study an online program with us, it's the first time they've studied online. Their experiences are fantastic, so the feedback says. But there's obviously there's concerns that we want to address in terms of what it's like to study online, okay? It can seem quite lonely, or the concept of online study when you sat at home or wherever it may be and you're on your laptop, you've got no one to bounce around ideas with, small group coaching sessions, yes, those live interactive sessions, but we're huge advocates of peer-to-peer learning and peer-to-peer interaction at Upgrad. Now, what that means is you've got networking opportunities with learners from 85 plus countries. Okay. And I think when this little sort of graphic was made, it's probably increased to over 100 now. What that shows is the online, or the adoption of online education is absolutely rampant in any area of the world. But the way that adds value is we want to make sure that you've got the opportunity to work with other students as you go through your course. You will learn from other people's experiences. There may be people that are, data engineers, and they want formal qualifications that they might not have, and they've learned everything on the job. Well, I can guarantee you they're going to offer a huge amount of insight and valuable input in how you tackle problems and how you progress through your course. So it's, there's no obligation to interact extensively. Most people do because there's a massive amount of value there. Okay. Manny, in your experience, how valuable is networking, and how valuable is, let's say, the Upgrad alumni, but more importantly, networking, I think, in general, for a career in data science and machine learning?
Networking is like the topmost importance, more than your skill, your domain knowledge and everything. Networking is also equally important. Why? I'll tell you. It'll help you in the start of your career, and as well as after, like, you reach a certain level, like 10 plus or 15 plus years. Then the next set of your life is all about the kind of network that you have built over the past 10-15 years, because only that kind of defines you, where you will be and how you will eventually grow in an organization. And in the start of your career, right, you exactly require the right set of people you are aware in this field, so that you get those early pointers in terms of how you can shape your profile, and then the right set of organization that you have to go, they get the right set of mentorship to be able to succeed early on. And again, it will help you later on, but it is like very, very important for you to kind of succeed in this field.
I think one thing to add to that as well, and thank you for that explanation, it sort of really builds the value. One thing to add to that is when you graduate from any of our programs, you become an Upgrad alumni. Okay, whether that's a 6-month course in an advanced certificate in data science, or it's a master's program, that doesn't matter. The reason I'm talking about this now is most of our programs, most of the students that we take on board are for machine learning and data science a little bit more prominently. Now, what that means is every year, as we grow on a global scale in terms of our offering, we have thousands and thousands of students that join this alumni network. Now, if you think about the potential future opportunities that you can gain from interacting in this network and being part of alumni, then it's an unbelievable opportunity. So thank you very much for that. I think it's fairly clear the value that networking in the industry adds. A little bit more about the Upgrad Advantage here. If you want to sign up early for any of our programs, we give you a sort of pre-prep program to brush up on your skills before the batch and the actual program starts. Now, the beautiful thing about this is you get to see some of the content. You get to get your head around some of the core foundation concepts before you actually start studying. We want to make sure that it's not a last minute decision. Okay. Master's programs, they are sometimes quite significant time commitments in terms of you're looking at, so anywhere between 8 to 15 hours a week, during the week flexible. Okay. Because of that, you may need a bit of time. Now, the great thing is if you can start planning and mapping out your opportunity to study, then we will do everything we can to get you as well prepared as possible. Now, that also helps in terms of having that added flexibility. Obviously, you've got a time commitment during the week, time commitment on the weekend. We have very, very few people drop out of our courses because of the support and because of the flexibility we offer. If you've got a full-time job and you work 40 plus hours a week, you've got 2 kids and you want to do sports matches on a weekend, you want to go watch them play cricket or football, and you want to have dinner with your partner and your spouse in an evening, fine. We want that. We don't want to change your life. We want to add our education offering around what works for you. Okay. Now, just on that note, we have less than 10% dropout rate across all of our courses. Okay, so the average is we have over 90% completion. Now, if you look at most online educators, they have for the open online courses, they have less than 30% completion. For the structured, more academic, or I say academic or technical courses with institutions, you have less than 60% that complete. I think just with what we have in terms of what we're presenting here, the Upgrad Advantage, these pre-prep programs to brush up the skills, live sessions with industry experts, feedback Q&A sessions, small group coaching, peer-to-peer interaction, all of this leads to a massive completion rate. Now, for us, that's incredible because we know that what we're doing has the students in mind. But that should show, hopefully, some confidence for every student out there considering any of our Upgrad courses, that we built programs around what works for you. And Manny, one of the things I do want to touch on really briefly is we have our proprietary learning platform that we've developed ourselves. Now, integrated into this is a huge amount of machine learning and AI. Now, the reason we've done this is we want to streamline your learning experience. People learning different ways. People access information at different times, and they communicate with different people. We've developed our online training and learning platform to make sure that it's specifically focused on you, using data science, using our understanding of AI and machine learning. Can you explain a little bit about how that adds a significant advantage from a student's perspective?
Right. So for a student, right, it's very important that, just not knowing where the knowledge is, but it should be like very structured, like I already said. And also you need to have the right platform to access the content in a step-by-step way. And then you should be able to have that flexibility as to when you can use it. And then also be able to associate all of those concepts to a particular problem statement, which is industry relevant, and then have all of that coding and all of the things easily integrated into one single platform readily available. That tremendously increases the ability for a student to grasp the concepts faster, and also able to kind of collaborate, interact with their peers, and understand and learn a lot of things. So I think it's very much valuable, Tom.
Fantastic. And again, it just shows that we have students as first in mind here, and it's about your experience, and it's about your opportunity to learn in the right way, the right information with the right practical value. But if we tie that in with exactly what we're talking about here, machine learning and AI, then it's a recipe for success for everyone. Well, that kind of comes towards the end of my section here, and I want to say thank you for those of you that are still with us. If you are interested in any of our courses, be it data science or machine learning that we've presented, or any courses that Upgrad offers, please don't hesitate to get in touch. When it comes to the next steps for the courses that we've discussed today, application form, it involves an application form, an online entrance test, and then you just book your place on the program, small deposit, and then we can get you set up with this pre-prep program. Now, you will have had some contact, I'm sure, from, and this is for the guests here, you will have had some contact from someone in our admissions department, so admissions counselors, and they're a huge source of information. Okay, I've not gone into the specific details of the course content here. I imagine you want to do your due diligence, and if you're looking at considering a program, you need to see what's really involved in these. I encourage you to get in touch with anyone that you've spoken to at Upgrad previously. They will be able to help. And if you can't find any emails from us and you don't have a number, don't worry. We will follow up with an email after this webinar. But what's really important is get us on the phone, have a chat with us, pick our brain, and we can help you decide what the right program is for you. Okay. If there's any questions, feel free to get them in now. There is a minute left that I will run to. Manny, anything else that you would like to add? Any final bits of advice?
One thing I would say is data science field is going to be evergreen for next 10-15 years. There's been a lot of opportunities that will be definitely coming up, a lot of growth potential across industries. And if you are already in a domain which is very specific, like manufacturing or automobile, that is not be wasted. It's going to be very relevant to data science career, because as I mentioned, your domain expertise adds a lot of value to data science as well. So transitioning for a data science career, you leverage all of the domain expertise that you already have had and build on top of it, so that you can have a lot more growth and choose the right platform for learning. And I think that will set you up for success.
Wonderful. Manny, thank you very much. And just on behalf of UpGrad, the team over here, and I think I'd like to say on behalf of all of the webinar guests that we have, thank you very much for your really, really valuable insights. It's great to have someone with your background and experience being able to share your feedback on what the industry is like, what is required to succeed, and the opportunities as well. Thank you very much, guys on the webinar. I appreciate your time and patience. We've taken an hour and a half of your time, but hopefully you've got some really valuable information about what the opportunities are like and what we can do. Raj has just dropped in a quick question saying, can you send by email all of the options we have for the courses? We will do. We will get in touch. We'll also send this webinar out potentially as a recording for those that haven't got it. So if you haven't attended and you are seeing this, all you've got to do is reach out to UpGrad, info.amir@upgrad.com, or just go onto your local upgrad.com website, look at the data science and machine learning programs on there, and we will get in touch. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Manny, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope to do this again with you. It's been fascinating for me, and I'm sure it's been unbelievably valuable for the guys on the webinar as well.
Thanks so much, Tom. Thanks for hosting me, and glad to share my experience with all of the viewers here. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Take care. Until
Bye.
next time.